and gentlemen, welcome back to another broadcast of The Weekly with me, Neff. Today, this article comes from WOR, and it is written by Jordan Rumi. It reads, Denis Villeneuve has no interest in Star Wars. It all derailed in 1983. Obviously, he is talking about the Return of the Jedi film. That would be episode 6. Let's continue. Denis Villeneuve is nixing any of the rumors that claimed he'd be willing to commit cinematic harakiri by helming a Star Wars movie for Lucasfilm's Kathy Kennedy. Wise decision on his part. While guesting on Matt Belloni's The Town podcast, Villeneuve confesses to having fallen out of love with Star Wars many years ago. I'm sure he's not alone in that thought. The filmmaker added, the new franchise hasn't been the same since 1983's Return of the Jedi. This is a quote. I was the target audience. I was 10 years old. It went to my brain like a silver bullet. I became obsessed with Star Wars, he said. I mean, The Empire Strikes Back is the movie that I anticipated the most in my life. I saw the movie 1 billion times on screen. I was traumatized by The Empire Strikes Back. I adore Star Wars. The problem is that it all derailed in 1983 with Return of the Jedi. He continued, it's a long story. I was 15 years old and my best friend and I wanted to take a cab and go to LA and talk to George Lucas. We were so angry still today. The Ewoks. It turned out to be a comedy for kids. Star Wars became crystallized in its own mythology, very dogmatic. It seemed like a recipe, no more surprises. So I'm not dreaming to do a Star Wars film because it feels like the code is very codified. I'm not arguing with Villeneuve's point here. Star Wars hasn't been great for quite some time, but the shade thrown at Return of the Jedi is unfair. Sure, those cutesy little Ewoks don't bring much good to the story, but it sure beats the Star Wars movies that came soon after it. Lucas tried to make amends with his Star Wars prequels, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, but they didn't exactly land with movie fans. It turned out that something far worse than Ewoks was in store for us, and its name was, of course, Jar Jar Binks. With that said, there is a subculture that absolutely adores the prequels, including the likes of James Cameron and Kanye West. Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin Skywalker in the prequels, was recently interviewed and claimed that despite the bumpy ride he experienced during the time of their release, the prequel trilogy is now being reappraised by fans and is turning beloved. Here's what's actually happening. There are so many fans genuinely upset, even furious, with how the last Star Wars Disney trilogy turned out, putting a major dent on the entire franchise, that they would much rather rewatch Lucas's original prequels on repeat. It is pure nostalgia. Of course, Lucas agrees with Christensen, Cameron, Hamill, and Kanye. The filmmaker mentioned in a recent book, The Star Wars Archives 1999 through 2005, that the criticisms the films garnered were not warranted and that he's incredibly proud of what he's accomplished. I will have to agree with that. The prequels are not as bad as people made it out to be. Obviously, in retrospect, compared to the things that we have seen in Star Wars, like I said, I thought The Force Awakens was decent, but I can understand why people hated The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, although The Rise of Skywalker was better than The Last Jedi. I've heard some sentiments regarding The Return of the Jedi not being that good. I think it was just kind of hard to follow up The Empire Strikes Back and, of course, Star Wars from 1977, which has now been retitled A New Hope. But, I can understand that. I guess the Ewoks were one of those things that the people didn't actually like. Just too kiddish at that point. But it sold a lot of toys, so I don't think George Lucas is complaining at all about the Ewoks. With that being said, guys, what do you think about Denis' take on Star Wars? Basically saying he'll never probably even watch a Star Wars film or even think about filming a Star Wars film because he just feels like the franchise is done at this point. What do you think about that sentiment? Do you share that sentiment? Do you not share that sentiment? Let me know what you think down in the comments, guys. Like this video if you liked it. Share this video with a couple friends. Let them know to subscribe to the channel as well. If you are subscribed, once again, thank you for subscribing. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot, and we're trying to get to 500 subscribers. Ring that bell for notifications so you can keep getting these cool news updates from me, Neff. And as always, guys, be safe. It is Neff signing off.